Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Wives podcast. I'm Ginger Hendry,
And I'm Jerry Carabin.
And I'm Kathy Rumsey.
and we are so excited today. We have a guest returning again, Mary Dalba. Mary's been with us before. We've had great conversations, and she's back. Oh, I'm going to just briefly say, we'll probably say it at the end too, all of Mary's information is on the Psychic Wives website, so go and look for her. But today we're talking about magic. And we're all excited about this. And we're going to ask Mary to tell us what she feels about magic. What is magic? It's such a big umbrella of things. So,
and we did really just before say that exact thing, kind of like it's such a big umbrella. How are we going to whittle this down? So we kind of poked at it a little bit, but what's magic, Mary?
Well, to me, I think magic isn't this. I mean, there is a type of magic if you decide that you join, a group of folks or just even yourself to create some change in your life, right? But I think that sounds very formal and you feel like it can be intimidating. So I like to think of magic as something that is just within our everyday lives. And we can use that for that word manifestations kicked around a lot, but I think we can use it to make change in our lives. How's that? I think that's even better. Yep. So it gives the power in our hands to believe who we truly are and to create that. Because I know with a lot of my clients that I'll be talking about things and they'll say, oh, I wish I had this new job, or I wish I had this relationship, or I wish, and I'll say, well, wishes and prayers and all that is magic. So what do you want from that? What are you looking for? And then when someone starts talking about it, I think once you start using your voice, that's a lot of manifestation things too. So just even talking about it with someone can be magic. Seeing a person you haven't seen for a while is like magic. I mean, there's so many of these situations and things in our lives that are just make us feel, even lighter. I think that's magic.
I know.
Answer. Sorry.
No, I was thinking as you were saying that, we've probably all had situations in our lives that we can remember at the exact moment that sort of everything came together. And this is just so crazy for me to remember, but I remember taking an art class in college in the fall. I have no artistic ability at all, but I had all my paints and I had my canvas, and we're out in the lawn. And it was the most spectacular October day. I mean, the colors were unbelievable. And I remember sitting there. I can still remember how I felt, how everything was perfect in that one moment. And to me, that felt magic. That felt magical,
Yeah, I like how you had, that's magical, just an everyday thing. The synchronicities that, I'm thinking about this person and the phone rings. Those intuitive gut pulls. One thing you said, and I can't remember exactly what you said, but it spurred this, kind of when something, magical, using air quotes, we feel happens, we're like, whoa, like what a miracle, and I think a lot of people think that magic comes from without, and I think it comes from within.
Agreed.
Into intuition, manifesting the things we want, dreaming things into being. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. And I think recognizing it when it comes along in those ordinary moments, and thinking of it, I just love thinking of it, of framing it in that way. What a magical moment. What a magical time. It just makes everything so much better. I don't know.
So we kind of talked about it. Magic doesn't have to be with a wand. No. Like Harry Potter or casting a spell or, divination with a crystal ball in front. I mean, it can be.
Sure.
We've talked with you before about like paganism. Didn't we do that? Or did we do Wicca and paganism? We kind of talked about that whole thing. And, there's a lot of ritual involved in that. But magic doesn't have to be, Tuesday night at midnight at the full moon, then I will do my magic.
Right. The planets have aligned in this perfect way at 1:18 in the morning on a Thursday. It's like, I mean, great, great.
Yeah.
But I also think like, just situations that I don't know how many times I've said, all right, I just really want this situation to go well. So I'm going to picture this situation going well. Um, and I know athletes do it, but also
Yeah.
for me, it's like, all right, let's manifest it into being. This is how I see it happening. And then, a lot of times it happens that way because I've sent it to the universe. So that's the magical practice. It's this, watching what the outcome is going to be before it happens, and you're sending that out into the universe. So a lot of law of attraction type of work,
Yeah.
manifestation work falls into that. I think falls into that category. And if we just believed in ourselves a little bit more, because we're already magic. Look what happened. We came here. We were created. Here we are. Like, we're living in this world right now. And
We're doing
that's
a Zoom thing on this little box in front of us
yeah,
all. And we're all in
exactly.
different parts of the country, or sort of.
Mhm.
Well,
And we're
okay,
reaching out.
fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
We're
that's
reaching
fine.
out we're reaching out to all kinds of people. I mean, think about the people that
Yeah.
listen, and then they bring it forward. And so it's this, responsibility for us, that what we're putting out to the universe is um things that are helping others, but also helping yourself. One of the things I hear from people is they say, I don't want to think about my stuff because that's selfish, or, that's a bad thing. I heard from someone you shouldn't be doing that. And I think to myself, well, if you're not happy, how's anybody else around you going to be happy?
Right.
So why
Right.
can't you ask for yourself? Like, we all have these things that we can tap into the universe for and manifest, because we ourselves are magic. Like you said, it's within us. So why not ask for the things that are going to help us and make us happy? Because then we help other people. It's
Right.
not selfish.
Yeah,
It's not.
for
I think
sure.
we're programmed that way. Oh, if you do something for yourself, you're selfish.
Yeah.
No,
Do
am I?
you do any other, like, do you do any ritualistic magic?
Mhm.
And when I say it that way, that's what I mean, like, not, Tuesday at midnight, the full moon, but
Right.
sort of. Sort of. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And there are formal practices that you can do. So sure, I do. I have certain deities, and if you're a different religion, say like saints, or
Mm.
folks, angels, whoever, that I will sit with, and my ritual is a lot of times just to bring them something that they like a snack. And then I sit and I have the snack with them, and I tell them what I need. Like, that's my ritual. Like, hi, I'm struggling with this. Can you help? And then I just put it out to the universe, and I listen. I listen.
Yeah,
That's the other thing we don't do well, is the intuition listening, because that alone, that is magic. That is magic.
absolutely. I think we've talked
Yeah.
about this before, maybe not on here, but there was a meme on uh the social media, and it, a picture of somebody making a funny face or something like that, and it says, that time you got a sign, but you wanted a signy or sign. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
Because we all do that.
Mhm.
Right.
Didn't we talk about, maybe we talked about this with Julianne
Yeah.
recently? I think we might have talked about it just recently then, and we've done that with each other. We've like, hey, this just happened. What do you think that means?
Mhm.
Like, we'll do it with each other, and the other two will be like, duh,
You're like, yes.
here's your
Right.
sign,
Right.
like that comedian or whatever.
Mhm.
A sign or sign. But yeah, I think that's a really big point. We don't
Mhm.
listen.
No.
And here's the thing, we do what we do, and we still say, hey, what do you think this means?
Mhm.
So imagine
Oh, yeah.
if you're not used to working with energy and guides and intuition and psychicness and all
Yep.
that stuff, you might miss it altogether.
Mhm.
So if nothing else, this podcast should be an invitation for people to listen. But I thought that was good. So you feel that, I mean, sitting in meditation is magic.
Is magic. You're altering your state. That's magical.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's
magical.
a pretty good way to do it, altering
Mhm.
your state.
Mhm. So
Interesting.
uh, I always think vibration, when your vibration's higher than and what I mean by that is, like, when you're in a great mood, like when you're in an awesome mood and everything's
Yeah.
cranking along great, your energy is firing at full speed. I think when you're sad, and we all get there, right? This isn't a
Oh, yeah.
judgment, but it's like we get sad and we get down. It's like, I can't seem to make anything happen. So a lot of it, I think you pointed out, Jerry, is like it comes from within, that you have to believe that you can do that.
Yeah.
And you know what's really funny is we all have our different um barriers or obstacles in our life. So I was considering going, furthering my education more. So I'm in a master's program right now, and I'm thinking about going past that. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not worried about getting into the school. I'm not worried about doing the classes. Amazingly, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just naive, but I was like, oh, I'm worried about the money. And it was right. I know. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, I'm worried about the money. That's what's worrying me. And then I kind of sat with it and I was like, all right, spirits. Well, if this is what's going to happen, this is what I'll do on my side to help make that money happen. I need help on your side. And I'm just going to put it out there and tell them what I need. I need to be able to work and pay my bills and do what I need to do while I'm doing this. So that's a like I said, prayer, spell, magical practice, whatever. But it's there's that meme that's out on Facebook that's like the movies say we have this, astrological thing that hasn't happened in 400 years. We have to do the ritual then. And that's like fantasy. And then reality is Susie has to work that night. Can we do it 2 days later?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. There's a practicality to our magic. Haha, practicality. But there
Yeah.
practical magic, but there is.
Right.
Because listen, my car has to start when I need it to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think we should probably touch on, just to make sure everybody, and this may be just me.
Mhm.
I believe, Mary, what's your thought on this, Kathy Ginger? Magic is different than witchcraft.
Mhm.
And what we're talking about here is not, it's magic for ourselves, magic
Right.
that we are creating for ourselves, not for or against anyone else. That's something completely different
Mhm. True.
and a no-no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
it's kind of like before we do a session, we ask permission.
Mhm.
Before we're reading an animal, before we're reading, and I'm sure this is the same way with you, Kathy and Ginger, but if I have a client that, and I've had this before, clients will come and like, oh, I need you to connect with my boyfriend and find out why he's not, proposing or something like that. I mean, that's a silly example, but it's an example.
It's an example.
And I can't do that.
Right.
We
Right.
don't connect with somebody. I don't have his permission.
Right.
Yeah. So that would not fall under, that would fall under ethically not something that you should do.
Agreed. I think in that case, like if you wanted to do something in your own space to see what's going on, I mean, first of all, let's talk about it practically. Sit down with the person and say, where are we going? Like that. How about we start there?
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to create something for yourself, you can always sit down and think about how you want that conversation to go. Now there's another person in that mix, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way, but you can visualize it.
We will.
And then also, sit down with the universe and yourself and ask yourself, like, is this really the person I should be with? And sometimes that's a hard answer to hear.
Oh yeah.
So hard. And I
yeah.
understand that. I do. But also it's like, maybe he's not asking. Maybe there's a reason,
Right.
Yeah.
To help me. But sometimes we get so locked in, like, all right, this is my person. This is who it is. I'm going to magically make him love me. And that definitely, if Bruce Almighty did not teach us anything, taught us anything, one of the things it taught us was you can't make someone, like, you can't mess with free will, right? He can put on different clothes, but he couldn't get Jennifer Aniston to love him until she loved him.
Right.
And that was it. Same thing, guys. I hate to say it.
Yeah. But it's funny too, because I believe that, the universe is in divine order, and okay, so you don't want to see that maybe this person is not who you should be with or whatever, but the universe is going to continue to just knock you over the head with a 2x4
Yep.
over and over and over
And over.
till you
Amen.
get it, because you haven't been getting the sign or seeing the sign, or you're blocking it or whatever. The universe is going to keep knocking you over the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point about, like, magic and witchcraft don't have to be like the same thing, and they're not the same thing. I think witchcraft is more of a religious practice. I think magic is the actual practical application of making something change or making something happen. And again, when you're dealing with other people, you can't bend their free will. I mean, they got to go with their life the way they want to. And sometimes it's even in ways that you're like, oh my God, that's so stupid. But
Yeah.
but I also, look at it like, here's our filter looking at the situation that thinks it's stupid. They think of it as a different way, and we can't, we have to be open to people like wanting what they want. Even if we know it's not good for them. But I also think we also have to remember we have the power to manifest for ourselves what we need. And sometimes, yeah, the answer isn't pleasant from the universe. The universe is like, ooh, yeah, listen, I told you to take a left, you took a right at Albuquerque. Can we talk about that? Um,
Mhm.
sorry, Bugs Bunny reference. I don't know why I'm referencing pop culture today, but I am, especially Bruce Almighty and Bugs Bunny. Who knows? But I don't know. Someone's playing with me over there. But I think that's, important to remember. It's like, what about you? What is your, like, what do you want? I mean, you may want this person, but is it more of, do you really want that type of relationship that you think is manifesting there? And maybe that's not the person. They can't meet that expectation of, I want to have this relationship with somebody that's at, X place, and you're at someone who's in Y place. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, why aren't we listening to ourselves? Because our actions create our reality, and
Yeah,
our thoughts create our reality. So that's
yeah,
where the magic comes in.
it's another example of the going outside.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we have a lot of, we'll have clients that, um, she, whatever is doing this and causing me to feel
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I'm like, no, no, no. So you can't change this person.
No.
You can only put out what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And two things are going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
based on law of attraction.
Right.
You're putting out this thing that you want, or the way you like your life, you want your life to lead, or whatever. So two things are going to happen. You're raising your vibration because you're, dreaming and believing it to be, and just really finding this great place that you want to be in.
Yeah.
So two things are going to happen. Either that person is going to raise their vibration and come along for the ride,
Mm-hmm.
or the people around you come along for the ride and say, like, I want what he or she's having.
Right.
Or they're not going to be a match and they're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why some people sometimes get caught in that, no, I'm going to stay right here where I am, because I don't want that person to leave, because they
Right.
can't see how much better they are, not from the person leaving, but
Mm-hmm.
from getting themselves to that place and raising their vibration and staying in that place of, this is how I want my life to look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a piece of magic right there when they can
Right.
let go of that
Right.
and put themselves first.
Right. It's pretty brave.
It's
Pretty
brave.
brave.
That's magic. Yeah.
It is.
love that.
I love what you said too, Mary, about the listening, or maybe it's Jared, the listening to yourself, or the listening to what comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, for me, that piece is, I mean, obviously so important, but it also makes me feel connected to everything, right? This is not just me in my head, but there is things coming in, whether, again, guides, angels, whatever. But I did a reading recently for somebody who was sort of stuck, who's on the spiritual, just stepped on the spiritual path, and was feeling kind of about the mediumship and whatnot. And she had an ancestor come through. She had a grandparent come through that she had never met.
Ooh.
And it was unbelievable. And this felt magical to me, but he was showing her a line of ancestors behind him, saying, this is who you came from.
Yeah.
This is who we are. You have this, and we have you.
Oh my God.
You don't need to be, well, he didn't say it that way, but you don't need to be so worried about things coming through. You have the gift, and
we have your back.
strength of generations of ancestors. It was unbelievable.
Oh.
And it was so funny at the end, she said, that wasn't it totally wasn't what she expected. She expected somebody to come through and say, okay, so you might want to take this class, and you might want to, whatever. And it was so much more powerful.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Well, that's a really great thing. You might want to, that's what a lot of clients are looking for. And I've had people come to me for mediumship reading and said, is he okay with what I did with the house? Is he okay with what? And rarely does spirit say yes or no, you should have done. It's all my experience has been, they all turn it back on you, on you, on you. Like if
Mhm.
you feel good about what you did with the house, you did good with the house. It's not
Right.
about what I am telling you. So I love what you said there, Ginger. It's like the magic can be when you realize that there's a connection with all,
Mhm.
and that right there sounded like uber empowering.
Yes.
Like, and also like, oh, what a relief. We kind of go through life like, I talk about this with a friend all the time, that a lot of us sometimes, especially the type A, it's like, I need to make the right decision.
Mhm.
I need to make the right decision. So I need to take in all this data and I need to get everybody's opinion so I can make the right decision.
Mhm.
When in Law of Attraction, if you follow Abraham Hicks, it's like, make a decision and line up with it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more of, and I think this whole thing we're talking about has this theme behind it of, it's all you. You're the one that has the power. You're the one
Mhm.
that can create the magic in your life if you put it out there, and if you ask for it. And then if you sit back and listen, this magic is coming at you.
Mhm.
Right.
Coming at you.
That's true.
And I, we've all, the three of us anyway, I think you too, Mary, I think you
Yeah.
said this at one point, were raised Catholic.
Mhm. Yes,
And,
indeed.
in I'm not dissing anybody, I'm not judging, I'm just, like, I'm just saying there's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of, if you do this, you will be punished.
Mhm. You're gonna burn.
You're
It's gonna
gonna
end up on your
burn. You're
permanent
either going
record.
up or you're going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
there's no other choice, up or down,
Ye
that's it.
up or down, and
Right.
I think it's drilled into us that we are supposed to do things the exact way that somebody tells us we're
Mhm.
supposed to do it, or if we don't, we're wrong.
Right.
You're
Right.
wrong, and now you could be punished. So
Right.
that magic piece right there, there's a huge magic piece right there when you realize, oh my God, that's not true. Notice I said, oh
Mhm.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, universe, oh, whatever.
It's
That's
okay.
not true.
Right.
And like you said, the better we are, the better the people around us are.
Mhm.
The more the people around us see, how is she doing that? How is he doing that?
Mhm.
Like, since we're quoting movies, I want,
Right.
like I said before, I want what she's having.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
that's,
But that's the thing I say to people, you can have all that. It's just you have to believe, well, part of this is belief in
yeah,
yourself. So, you guys brought up so many good points, but one of the ones that stuck in my head was about the relationship piece, because I think we all deal with that. But imagine the universe, like you're like, universe, I want this person, and these are all the things I want. And then you're with somebody who doesn't fall into that. The universe is like, wait, okay, we're confused because you're telling me these are all the things you want. But then I look at the person you're dating and that's not who they are. They are. Why are we so confused? So that's even part of it. It's like you say to the universe, like, this is what I want. And then your actions aren't going in that direction. The universe is like, wait a minute. I heard you, but then I
yeah,
saw that person. I'm confused. Is that what you want? All right, we'll keep you there. Like, I think not that people put themselves in bad situations. I don't mean it like that, though I can raise my hand and say that I've done that a few times. I think it's more of like, well, what do you right?
yeah.
What are you really telling the universe? Like, if you're like, this is the person I want, but I'm going to settle for this person right now while I'm waiting for this person, the universe is like, what do you? Are
Yeah, and
you there?
I think the like the missing piece in that is, universe, this is what I want.
Right.
So when I follow Abraham Hicks, you
Mm.
ask, it is given,
Mm-hmm.
get in alignment with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we ask
Yes.
all the time with the universe. I want this. This is the relationship
Mm-hmm.
I want. I want this beautiful house, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll stick with relationships. This is all the
Yeah.
things I want in a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just sit back like, okay, well, where is it? Well, we have
Mm-hmm.
to align with that. So the universe is giving you, so using your example, the universe is, here's this person out there, but you can't meet this person because you're stuck with this person.
Yeah.
You're stuck in this place where your vibration is completely different and is not a match to the thing that you've put out into the universe that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so the piece I think that misses a lot is that, okay, this is what I want. I'm just going to sit here exactly where I am, and I'm going to wait for you to give it to me.
Right.
the piece is that alignment piece, where in order to align with that, I have to raise my vibration. I have to believe that it's true. I have to live like it's true. I have to move my thoughts and my energy in the direction of that type of feeling, as opposed to just sit there. But that's an in out thing again, an innie and an outie. That's an innie and an outie thing. Like in other words, we are waiting for that magic to come from the outside in, and we have to create it from the inside out.
Well, it does go back too, I think, to what we talked about being empowered, right? Because when we're waiting for something to be handed to us, there has to be a place that we think, I'm not sure I deserve it. So if you're going to give it to me, it's a gift, as opposed to, it's mine. I'm gonna put myself in all of those things that you just said, Jerry. In that situation, I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna envision it. I'm gonna feel it, because I deserve it. I deserve to have my needs met. No, you're not gifting me something.
It's interesting because in the law of attraction, they always talk about appreciation, 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 appreciation. And that's a big thing for me. What do I appreciate? What do I appreciate? Now, everybody uses the word gratitude. What are you grateful for? Grateful, grateful, grateful. I've always had a little bit of a problem and lean towards appreciation as opposed to gratitude, because for me, and this is just for me, the word gratitude has that little bit, exactly what you're talking about, Ginger. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank you so much. Woo! Like, thank you for throwing me a bone. Do you know what I mean? Thank you for gifting me this, because I'm undeserving of it. So I'm so grateful that I got it. And I know I'm kind of exaggerating that, but for me, that's why I kind of hang at appreciate. You know what? I'm so appreciative that I was able to raise my vibration. I'm so appreciative that I was able to create that. I'm so appreciative that I believed in myself enough to co-create with the universe. Do you know what I mean? And I know I'm trying to, but does that make sense to you guys? Not that I'm dissing anybody that uses grateful, because I kind of use it interchangeably now, because I've sort of gotten over that. But it sort of speaks to me, like you said, Ginger, about the difference between, oh, this gift, as opposed to, hey, I deserve this.
Right.
And
empowering. And I know we say this, we are empowered. We just have to empower ourselves. We have to recognize our own inner power. That in itself would be magical if people realized how powerful they are. When it comes up in readings too, I mean, and sometimes we laugh about it, but sometimes I'll say to somebody, they'll say, I made this happen, or if I had just done this, that wouldn't happen. And and I end up, a lot of times what comes through is, you know what, you're not that powerful in somebody else's life. Like you can't stop somebody from being ill. You can't stop, whatever. You can only empower yourself and what you're doing and how you feel about it. You're not meant to be powerful in somebody else's life in that way.
And I think that's a really hard thing for some people, especially women, because we were created to be the caretakers and the blah, blah, blah. So putting yourself first is difficult, but also, like you said, Ginger, like I'm supposed to prevent that. I'm supposed to take care of this person. I'm supposed to, and we don't often well, no, everyone there's free will. Everyone has free will. So you had nothing to do with that, or you couldn't have done anything because that person chose, whether they really knew it consciously or not. They chose.
It's true.
Yeah, I like that. And it really is a hard thing, because again, it's putting yourself first.
Yeah. And that's something we're not used to doing. No, because especially we get told it's selfish. You put yourself first and you're selfish. And it's like, well, the only way I can take care of these other people in my life is if I take some time for me. Like, I just can't, you can't, I know it's like, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's true. But I think, magic in saying, this is what I want to create in my life, no matter how difficult it is, it's going to take some time. But of course, as you can, like, I think about people who I read who are determined to do something, like whether it's good for them or not, right? And that's my judgment, who knows?
Mhm.
But like they are determined. And once someone's determined to do something, the universe is like, all right, we got this with you. We're gonna co-create with you. But I don't know if we realize that. Like I know for me, if I got something on my mind and I'm going straight forward, you know, do you want me to bowl you over, knock you over, push you up? Like, what do you want? Because that's how it's going to happen, right? That's if my mind is set on that. So we're so powerful in that regard when we're determined and strong. It's when we start letting those voices come into our heads about the fear and I don't deserve it, all the minutia. And I was gonna
Yeah,
say something a little stronger, but
you
you know,
can.
all that
I
stuff.
hit the E on it.
Right.
I hit the explicit, so you can say whatever the hell you want.
It's you know, sometimes you go, what the fuck is this? But
Yeah.
it really you have to step back and say, okay, I can still do everything right, by the way. Here's the other thing I think we forget. I can still do everything right perfectly. It doesn't mean the outcome I want is going to happen because there's other things at play sometimes. I'll
Yeah.
give you a quick example. My brother, he's been in law enforcement for years and years. When he originally was trying to get into the academy, there was an issue with sit-ups. Like they had him start sit-ups again, and then you know your stomach starts to hurt anyway. So he failed the sit-up piece, and he was devastated because he's like, "This is the academy I want to go to. It's right in Boston. It's your home. Blah blah blah," and failed. They said you know you can try again, and he tried again, and he ended up at an academy in Foxborough. And when he talked about it and compared it, he was like, I would not have been good in that Boston class. Like for whatever reason, it was different teachers, different. He's like, I heard about it. He's like, they did great. He's like, but the style this person was much better for me. So even though he had done everything right, he trained, he was ready, he was practicing sit-ups every day, like whatever, for just whatever reason, the universe went, might have something a little better for you. Hold on. But at
Yeah.
that moment where he didn't get in, he was devastated. I mean, crushed. But like my mom, who is a prayer person, said, "We'll just keep praying because you got another chance." So remember, there's another chance. It's not over yet. It's something that you have to keep focusing on. And you know, he graduated and been in law enforcement for now it's 34 years.
And I think that's a
Crazy.
really good thing to bring up because, and I
Mm.
know we've talked about this sometime before, but
Yeah.
as humans, when something like that happens, we're like, oh my God, that's bad. This is a bad thing that happened. How did I manifest this bad thing that happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can believe and if you have that faith, you can hopefully, and it's not, you know, I can't do it all the time. Of course, we can't do it all
Oh,
the
we all
time,
can't.
but
No.
if you
Mm-mm.
can find yourself in a place when something that you perceive as bad
Mhm.
that happen and you kind of step back a little bit and say, okay, are there opportunities here?
Mhm.
So that's a perfect example. Like he
Yeah.
probably perceived that as,
Oh.
you know, crap, I really wanted to get into that specific academy and I couldn't.
Mhm.
And here it is, no, we got your back. This is the better one for you. You are going to be
Mhm.
a better law officer if you go
Mhm.
to this, or you're going to, or,
Yeah.
or, um, you're supposed to be at that one because 5 years down the road working for this precinct,
Mhm.
you are to save
Yeah.
this person.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It
Right.
could be that big. And so what I'm
Mhm.
trying to do is find, and those are the pieces of magic that you may
Mhm.
not know
At the time.
until 5 years later. You're like,
Mhm.
there it is.
Yep.
There it is.
There it is.
That's why
Exactly.
I missed the sit-up thing by
Mhm.
5 sit-ups or whatever the hell.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Those are those pieces of magic when you figure it out.
Right.
Right.
So for me, I always try to be like, okay, okay, I know there's an opportunity here. I'm going to look for the opportunity. I'm going to
Mhm.
try to make this fun. And
Mhm.
all right, show me,
Yeah.
show me. I'm not going to look at this as bad. You know, start giving me the lemonade. Start
Right.
giving me the lemonade.
Right.
Um, so I really actually love that story so that we could
Yeah.
make that point
Mhm.
of that, because he probably has had multiple pieces of magic as law
Mhm.
enforcement where he has made an absolute difference in someone's life
Yeah.
Over and over.
over and over because of where
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, thanks. I'm kind of proud of him too.
Right,
But
right.
I think that point is like, I remember him coming home because, he was, I think 20 and I was 15, and he was all upset. And my mother kept saying, but there's a reason, like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be that. There's a reason why that happened. She's like, but something else is going to turn out from this. You need to
Yes.
stay the course. And that was the thing. I think that's the moments where the universe goes, how much do you really want this? That's the other thing, which makes me a little like, with the universe, but the
Yeah.
universe, how much you want it? What are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it? You're going to keep going? You're going to quit? Like, what are you going to do? Like, it's
Yeah.
okay, whatever you do, but what are you going to do? And, he just kept going. And I think that's a lot of things for us. Like I said, if our mind is determined, all the magic will happen because we're like, all right, universe,
Yeah.
this is it. This is the goal. And the universe goes, oh, how about this? How about this? Wait, what about that? And,
Yeah.
you start
Yeah.
seeing things coming up in front of you. I don't care what anybody says. I know it's not just an algorithm on YouTube. Like if you start talking about something, all of a sudden,
Oh, yeah.
the opportunities are like, here, how about this? How about this? So
Yeah.
that's a magical thing because you've told the universe, like, oh no, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what's going to happen. The universe is like, might not happen the way you think, but let's help you out with that.
The
Right.
other thing that I love that you just said about bravo to your mom, because you just said your mom's very much into prayer. So I'm assuming your mom is Catholic.
Very Catholic. I
Okay.
call her the saint.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
We sounded judgmental before, and that's
Oh,
just of a certain piece there. But here's your mom. Your mom gets the magic too. Because your
Mhm.
mom's like, there's going to be another opportunity here.
Mhm.
So your
Mhm.
mom is thinking the same way, just under a different umbrella than what we're
Right.
calling it.
Right. Because
You know what I mean? Which is,
go ahead.
no. I was just going to say, bravo, mom.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. But I think her path is, I go and I pray. Like
Yeah.
I pull out the rosary bead. Like I can hear, I got to find the rosary beads that were blessed by the Pope in Rome in 1987.
Yep.
Remember when your brother went there and
My
they-
mother-in-law, same.
Right. Same. Right. So she's like, I have to find those to do the novena. I can't do them on these regular ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, but that's her ritual.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's her thing,
Yeah.
And I think that's for us too. It's the same thing. Her ritual is different. She goes and finds the rosary beads that were blessed by the Pope in 1987. We, we'll go out and just sit down with the universe and go, hi.
Yeah.
Hey.
But that's
You
her
know.
magic.
It's her magic. Absolutely. I agree.
So I love
I
that you
agree.
said that, because your magic can be what your magic is.
What your magic is. It's
Right. And a lot of
personal.
times that ritual or that sort of gets you into the headspace, right? I mean, how many people,
Mhm.
and we all do readings, there may be a ritual, and we joke
Mhm.
about this, right? When we're teaching animal communication, some people say, well, I have to take a bath and then I have to do this prayer. And we're like, do
We used to
whatever,
kid,
but
I
you're
have
not
to
gonna be
tell the
able to-
story, Kathy. We used to kid about this because, some people are like before reading, it's like half an hour
Yeah.
Mhm.
of this.
Lot of prep.
Do I have my ritual? Absolutely. And it's about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
I may slide in here in front of my thing, smudge, I say my prayer, I do whatever. When we were going through animal communication class, Kathy was famous. What we would say, Kathy, because we all started with a little bit longer ritual, you
Right.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
But we used to call it stop, drop, and read. Sitting on a bench in Central Park and go, what, you were sitting on a bench, and I think in
I
somewhere,
was in a park in New York City, and
and you are with a colleague, and she was like, well, I can't read here, and or something about it, and Kathy's like, why
Mhm.
not just read,
Mhm.
So Kathy was always stop, drop, and read,
Yeah.
didn't matter.
love that.
Didn't matter. So sorry,
love
Kathy. Just
You're
wanted-
like, hold my sparkling water. I got this. Listen.
yeah, exactly.
I ended up reading her cat like in the park, and I did close my eyes for a minute. Like I
Yeah.
kind of put my hands in front of my eyes and closed my eyes to just kind of get in that space of being able to do a reading. And a guy came up to where we were sitting and started beatboxing.
And she was the colleague was like, holy crap, and I think we've all I've been like, oh no, I can't read under certain conditions or whatever. I've been in a party with a football game going on where everybody's screaming, and my friend says, hey, can you touch base with Sego? He had an issue last night. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, hold on. I do have to plug my ears a little bit when
Right.
there's screaming or something, but
Right.
yeah, okay, hold on,
Mhm.
But anyway,
Well-
I thought that was funny. So,
Listen, where the divine's going to show up, they're going to show up. That's
Yeah.
just it. The message has got to get through. I was at my niece's church. She was in Catholic school, so she was in 5th grade at the time. And I sat down next to a woman. We were in church, and I was like, after the everything, I leaned over and I was like, "So hey, don't mean to bother you, and I don't want any money. And I know this is gonna sound weird because we're sitting in a Catholic church, but your grandmother won't stop talking to me." And I started talking to her, and she was like, "Now talk about spirit being involved in magic, right? I'm known to be late sometimes. Excuse me. Sorry, that's not my magic. And
Opportunity.
yes, yeah, yes, yes. So I, of course, made it into Emily's recital like 3 minutes before it started. So of course the church was packed and there was no seats. But this woman saw me standing, was leaning against the wall, and she was like, "Come sit down next to me. Sit down." She slid over. She had room. And then all of a sudden her grandma was like, "You have to talk to her. You have to." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what is
But
happening?"
there's that magic.
Is the magic.
You were
Yeah.
late on purpose. The church was full
Mhm.
on purpose. Same thing with your brother, Miss.
Mhm.
The church was full on purpose. She
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, please, please,
Please.
whatever." And that's the magic of grandma
Mhm.
right there, her,
Yeah.
like get in
Yeah.
there, I love that. Can
It's
I ask a question? And I know I'm
sure.
so okay. So just, can you touch on, or are you comfortable touching on?
Sure.
We talked about we've been talking about magic, but the witchcraft part.
Mhm.
Can you just give somebody like what your definition of witchcraft would be? And when we say witchcraft, everybody always thinks bad, bad, bad.
Sure. Yeah. Um, so I can speak from a coven experience where I've been in covens and groups. That's a group of witches coming together, y'all.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I laugh. I'm like, so sometimes when you go into dinner places where there's dinner and there's like a bunch of people together laugh, those could be witches.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because we eat dinner too. But doing coven magic, I'm just saying, um, is really it's taking a an idea for the same thing. So a lot of times when you're in coven magic, you're thinking about one particular goal or set of goals that sort of are good for everybody in the coven and really in the world. Like so, for a while, the coven I was in, we were doing magic around the 2018. Oh my God, was it that long ago? 2018 elections. Like we were doing some stuff around the midterm elections because
Mhm.
of the House and all that. So you can do magic really for anything, but it's everybody at the same time bringing their energy together to send it out to the universe. So it's amplified and everybody has the same ideas and same goals. You don't have to be trained the same. You don't have to do this necessarily the same things, but there is some kind of structure where,
Yeah.
there is, we welcome everybody and we welcome the spirits and off we go with that and that.
But it's
And we
a
thank him for coming.
positive thing as
Oh
opposed to
yeah.
a negative thing, which is the big
Yeah.
piece that because when somebody says witchcraft, I think
Mm,
it's a negative connotation.
mhm.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Like you're like casting a spell on somebody so that, they break
Voodoo
out in hives
dolls,
or
yeah.
something like that. What, Kath? I'm sorry.
Like voodoo dolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something negative. So
Right.
witchcraft does not have to be. I'm assuming some people use it improperly or
Oh, sure.
do
It's with
use it
anything.
for
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
We do not. Just so you know.
No, no, and
You
if you
know.
if you think back to the days before we could, buy wands from a store or buy, things like people just went out into the woods or they went out to a quiet place under nature and said, "Hey, we'd all like to eat this winter. Can you help us out?" Like, really, that's where it started. And then
Mm,
also just the modern, the ancient day of medicine. Doctors weren't really around, so you worked with your herbalist, you worked with the woman in the community who had all that special knowledge. So that's definitely was part of our culture back in the day. I hate to say it, I think the media has not done us favors around witchcraft because they always portray the, oh, we're in some place and we're going to kill them. I mean, it's like, we're
yeah,
going to it's, oh, we're going to do magic and they're going to die. I mean, look, there's people who use magic for all kinds of reasons that they shouldn't. That's true.
right.
But I think there's more of us that are just like, I'd like to make life easier for the people I love and myself.
Yeah,
So we try this instead,
yeah.
you know.
Well, it's
Um
interesting you said, because the Salem witch trials, all of those
mhm,
were people using herbs, people,
mhm,
do you know what I mean? That
yeah.
some religion said that,
Mhm.
oh my God, that's the devil's work.
Right.
I mean, for crying out loud, certain forks were, the 3-pronged forks that
Mhm.
they, that was, oh my God, like if they found a 3-pound fork in your house,
Which.
you're screwed.
Mhm. Right.
So yeah, interesting. Yeah. But yes,
Yeah.
there are people out here that people in the world, obviously, that use it for bad. But then again,
Mhm.
here's a question for everybody. So if you're somebody that is trying to use magic, witchcraft, whatever, for bad,
Mhm.
does it work? Because God's spirit universe is in divine order. So if I'm me and putting out there into my world what I want, and you're trying to give me something bad, it's not going to work, is it? Do you know what I mean? Because my vibration is raised so high and I'm like doing my thing and happy and manifesting or whatever.
Mhm.
This just popped in my head. I don't know.
Yeah,
it?
it could. It could, because there's people out there who do magic that's just, I'm not happy that someone else is happy, so I'm going to whack them. But here's the
Right.
thing. Here's also the thing with the universe. The universe doesn't assign good or bad. We do. Humans assign good or
Right.
bad. So, what we think is bad, the universe is like, is it though? Or is it like, wow, I thought that was okay. And the universe goes, is it though? So we don't, again, it goes back to, like, do you really believe, like, is that what you really want to put out in the world? So here's an example, right? So you have a mother whose son was hurt, her daughter was hurt by somebody, and she wants to get her justice. Is that bad? Would we say that's bad? Like, I'd be like, I'm all about it, knock him
Yeah.
out
No.
or knock her
Right.
out. You know what I mean? The person who hurt my kid or their kid. But again, so then who's assigning the good and the bad? It's
Right.
the human.
So
So
I'm not.
universe, you know
Yeah.
what I
So I'm
mean?
not saying good and bad. I'm just
Mhm.
saying. Okay, so understanding that, like, I'm just talking like a
Of course.
frequency kind of thing, I think. So,
Yeah.
okay, and we're just making this up, but okay, somebody hurt this person's child. She's
Mhm.
like, "You're going down, dude."
Mm.
And I shouldn't say that person
That person, yeah.
is vibrating at a low frequency because they did do this bad thing,
Mhm.
so bad, and I'm using the word bad, low
Right. Low frequency is fine. You know what I
low
mean?
frequency and low
Yeah.
frequency, I can see it being a match. Okay.
Mhm.
Another example. Okay. Suppose, my neighbor is mad because my dog's barking
Mhm.
and they want to cause me harm
Mhm.
because of that.
Right.
But I'm just happy go lucky and my vibration is like super high.
Right.
I don't feel that could affect me.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I also
Okay.
think the other thing is that we have to be responsible for all that stuff we're putting out in the universe, our thoughts, all that magic. So if you're like, well, I want my neighbor to know that my dog is amazing. So they're going to have a problem now because my dog is just beautiful and can bark anytime that she wants. Um, we might send that
Yeah.
out and then all of a sudden, like you're like, hey, everything's groovy. And there's a repercussion to me. Like all of a sudden my
Right.
dog just doesn't want to bark anymore. And I'm like, wait, what happened? So yeah, it could bounce back in a way that you weren't expecting. Like, is it
Yeah.
really so sometimes I think this is all, isn't this fun, guys, being humans? It's so fun because the universe is like, let's figure this out, right? And you're
Yeah.
still like, wait. So there's that, primal part of you that just is like angry, but then there's also like the universe is saying, can you figure out another way to fix this? Because there's got to be another way. Think about it for a minute. You're doing magic over a dog, which
Yeah.
granted, I love dogs, but you know what I mean? Like go to the next door neighbor and knock on the door and say, listen, I'm trying with the dog, but my baby's just
Right.
gonna say what she does. So how can I help? It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like I get people who
Yeah.
say, oh, you got to do magic on this person because they did this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, that's just a human situation. And not that, but like, I'm not going to send your ex-boyfriend off a cliff because he broke up with you. I love you,
Right.
but come on.
Well, and that's
Right.
like
You know?
what we said. You don't mess with somebody else.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
I get why you're mad. And we can make it
Yeah.
so that maybe like he's just an unhappy guy if you want to do that. But on the other hand, better magic is you putting it out there and be like, oh, I'm so much better than that. I'm getting myself a new person. That's
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
better magic to put out
Yeah.
there than be like, let me send him off a cliff. You know, it's just let him live and see how good you're doing. See, that's my whole thing now. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
let them live and see how good you are without them. Ha
Yeah.
ha, you know. But it's I can understand sometimes, like I've said things, I'm like, look, universe, I love you, but really, I'd like them to fall off a cliff and hit every rock on the way down. Like we're human beings.
Yeah.
So but then when you and that's a lot of emotion too, which when we talk about magic, it's like how much emotion do you have behind it? Because that's really what's going to push it forward.
Yeah.
Is how
Another
much
thing
emotion.
that was interesting that I was talking to a friend recently, and she's very much always trying to figure things out. Why this? Why this? Why this? And I used to be like that too. And now I'm kind of a little bit like, where's the opportunity? Where's the opportunity? Because it's better for me personally and my frequency if I'm not focused on the why did this happen? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? How did I manifest this? It's just like, okay, this happened. I'm owning it. I'm going to move on, and I'm looking for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's some things out there in our world, the things we see, the things that I have told her, we're wasting our energy. You're wasting your energy trying to figure this out. You're not going to figure it out until you cross over. And then you're going to be like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, who killed JFK or whatever the whole thing, you know,
Yeah.
did he work alone or whatever? You know what I mean? The whole
I do.
conspiracy thing or whatever. But I think we laugh about that all the time. Ginger, you and I have talked about this. We're going to cross over and we're going to be like, all right, I need to know this, and this. And we're also going to cross over and be like, I can't believe I wasted that much time worrying about my weight or worrying about, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, the energy that I wasted on that crap. You know what I mean? So anyway, I know this conversation is like, what?
It's all over the place, but I love it. I love it.
I love
it.
Place, but I think it's been great.
I love it. Yeah.
I do
It's
too.
good.
I just think discovering, or I'm not discovering, but maybe reframing what magic is to everybody who listens, right? Like I didn't think of that as magic or magical, you know, because it just sort of, it's like when you did that lessons from our sessions, Jerry, which is a new segment that we are doing on YouTube. We'll talk about that at the end. And Jerry was talking about, you know, like reframing something that she was going through, and all of a sudden, like the world sort of tilts, and you're like, oh,
Totally tilts.
I did
totally
not,
changes.
it never occurred to me.
Never occurred to me, and someone else gave that to me, which I loved, because it just shows like sometimes you're just too much into it, and then you get something from somebody gave that to me, and I was like, oh my God. And yes, everything totally shifted. Totally shifted. You know, in a really brilliant way. Empowering.
It's empowering. I think we have to remember, even in situations where something's happened, like we have the power to react to them. Whether we can change them or not, it's a different story. But how we react, and we need to take our human time with that. If you're throwing stuff around your house or whatever because you're mad, okay, but you can't do that every morning,
right?
You know,
and that's the owning it part. I never, want anybody to. Never would want to encourage anybody to just sweep it under the rug. Like, I'm fine, everything's fine, everything. You got to own it.
It's all good.
You got to own it and dance around it for a little bit, poke at it for a little bit, and then, okay, where am I going?
Right. And I love what you said too, Mary, about, sort of living your high life, right? And whatever that person or those people or that situation was, not staying attached to it, because that's the hard thing. If you're carrying resentment or anger, it's you that's carrying. That other person's off and doing their own thing, and you have this anchor of low vibration or whatever. It's a miserable feeling. So being able to release that, it would be magical. Is magical.
Because that is a big piece. You're sitting here like, oh, I can't believe he did blah, 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 and he's off doing whatever.
Right.
So who's suffering from that?
Right.
He doesn't, or he, she, whatever, doesn't give a crap.
They're processing their own thing. Like they're not. They're processing their own thing. And that's,
for sure.
I think we got to remember that people are processing their own stuff. And yes, sometimes people will not be aware of the vibration that they're at. But that's also not like you worry about yours, right? You don't
Yeah,
have to,
Right,
if someone else is at your vibration, great. And if they're not, you choose what you do there.
right,
right.
right.
So it really
Well,
is simple. We make it
awesome.
complicated.
I know. I
Oh
know.
God, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if it wasn't complicated, what would we talk about?
Right.
I know, it'd be so
That's true.
boring.
I know.
Oh God, we'd be boring.
Well,
I'm
this
gonna
has been
remember that.
great. So how would we, how would we wrap this up? What do we want to say to wrap up
Well,
this?
2023, I started to do this thing, and I will have to let you guys know how it's going. But every day, several times a day, I say the universe is working in my favor. Just
Yeah.
like random thing, like, and when I'm really frustrated, I'm like, the universe is working in my favor, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I find when I say that, it's like, okay, all right, the universe is going to bring something else my way, or something's going to change with that, and it does. So I
Yeah.
would say, just remember, universe is working in your favor.
Yeah.
Always
And
like
I say
that.
the same. I just say universe is in divine order. Not sure
Yep.
what this is happening, but universe is in divine order. I'll
Yep.
figure it out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we
It
do.
does release some of that angst, right?
And need to control it.
Right.
Right.
And the need to
Right.
control it, right?
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, awesome. Mary, thank you once again. And when we hang up, which we will in a minute, we want to talk to you about the next time.
Yay.
Yes,
And what you have to
exactly.
talk to us about. So thank you, and to thank our listeners. But before we go, I just wanted to say, I mentioned the lessons from our sessions. We are now, and we have been for quite a while, uploading our podcast to YouTube. The Psychic Wives is our channel on YouTube, but we haven't really promoted it and whatnot. And we are going to be doing that going forward. And we had Julianne on the last podcast, who loved Julianne. She's awesome.
Yay.
And she gave us this idea for us to do just short bits, right, on YouTube about what we get from a lesson when we're doing our readings and whatnot. Just little nuggets that we can share, and they're not long pieces. So Jerry has already done one.
Mhm.
You can find that at the Psychic Wives channel on YouTube. So look for us there, not just on Spotify or Apple.
Yeah.
And we haven't really taken advantage, and I'm not sure how much we'll do, right? We could talk briefly, but about Facebook, because not everybody's engaged in Facebook the same way, but
Yeah.
we may pick that up, so you may see something from us. So
Mhm.
anyway, thank you so much to Mary. Thanks for the listeners, and until next time.
Be well
Be well.
and be kind.
Thanks, Mary. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.